Hi guys, and welcome to my channel Iclone 3D, where we discuss tips, tricks and tutorials for the latest versions of Iclone. And today we're going to be looking at the MD controls in Iclone 8, which is a fantastic feature. It can be a bit fiddly to kind of work out, so I'm going to break it down in a very quick and simple way. Now if we head over to the MD control panels, you've got three different settings here. You've got your character settings, camera settings and the macro data. I'll get into those a bit later. Today I'm really going to focus on the character settings and the camera settings. So what you want to do is, if you want to record your motion directly onto the character, you'll turn on that record button, and that means anything you do now in the MD control is going to be recorded directly onto the timeline. Now before we kind of hit start down here, because this is how you're going to get it all started and up and running, before we hit that we want to go into our camera settings. This is quite important to get the camera settings set right and just to understand the kind of basic layout here. So here we can see free camera and follow cam. What you want to do is you really want to keep that on follow camera, and that will just ensure that whatever you're doing, walking, running, etc., the camera will actually follow that action. So just click that and leave that on follow cam. Now down here you've got record to camera. Now what this effectively does is, if you click that on, you can pick create a new camera, or if you've already got a camera kind of set up, then that will be there in the drop down menu and you can choose that camera, and that will effectively record all the motion that you do to that camera. Now great way to kind of quickly get the motion recorded. One thing I will let you know is that when we do kind of record to camera, if you do change camera angles, it will only record that to one camera. So all them angles will be kind of recorded into that one single camera, which for me is a bit off-putting, because I like to have kind of full control over when the angles change opposed to when I do it in MD controls. But if you want to, I'm going to leave that off for now. And if you want to go down here to the follow camera settings, here's another important section. So here we've got multiple different cameras. Three of these cameras, one of them being full shot, close up and bird's eye view. As you can see, my scene isn't kind of set in the correct way, but what we'll do is we'll go back into custom view. Now with these custom view cameras, you can actually pick the angle you want, and then you can set the angle like that. So for example, if we come and set a close up for custom view 1, if you want that angle to stick, you just have to click here, set, and now that angle is set in place and it won't change when you hit start. Now we'll do that for a few cameras. If you wanted to do multiple views, we'll go to custom view number 2. Then you can, again, we can maybe have kind of a wide shot and click set, and that will be set in place. And then let's do one more, camera 3. We'll do a nice high kind of bird's eye angle for camera 3, and if we just hit set, that's our 3 cameras set in place. Now how we have control over these cameras during the scene, we want to come down here to the timeline, and just on the left hand side here you'll see something called MD triggers. Now here you can see where my cursor is, the different cameras that you have control of. Remember, we've set up camera 1, 2 and 3. So you still have 4 and 5. You've still got 2 options to set up different angles if you wish to. Now this is how you're going to control your cameras during recording. When we click start, whenever you press these, it will actually change to your separate camera angles. So if we just, now we've got the cameras set up, and hopefully that kind of makes you aware of how to use the camera section. We want to go back into our character settings and just go down to start and hit start. Now if you haven't already loaded a pre-motion in, and what I mean by that is if you haven't gone to your content tab, and here you can see the different MD motions that come with Iclone. Some of them are paid packages, but you can click on them and then you can choose the different MD motion, base motion that you want to load in there. So as of current, I haven't got a motion loaded on there. So if we go back into MD controls and hit start, this pop-up box will come up, and this basically tells us to choose between a male or female, and it will apply a custom MD motion. So if we just hit apply and wait for that to load up, that should take a few seconds. And once that's loaded up, we'll crack on with the tutorial, because my computer seems to be taking longer. Okay, brilliant. So that's loaded. And now what we want to do is simply, we're basically in MD motion, MD director now. So if you use your keyboard, you can see here that you can use S or W, that will go back and forth. And you can use hotkeys A and D to go left and right. So this is the simple kind of format of how to use MD motion. Now, if you remember back to earlier, the cameras we set, you'll see them here. If we click that camera, you'll see they change into the different cameras that we set up earlier. So as you're walking, you can change angle, you can change different angles, and that will change the angles for you. So you just want to be careful. Of course, it can get a bit fiddly when you're kind of doing it in the scene, as you can see. Kind of lost where we're at, but that is kind of the basics of how to use the MD controls. Then you'll hit stop and that motion will all be recorded. So if you just hit playback, you'll see that will start to play back for you sometime soon. That should begin walking. There you go. Now what you'd have to do is, of course, is because we didn't record to any camera, you'd have to kind of set your camera up, create camera, and then you'd kind of need to attach that camera to your character in order for it to then follow him. Sometimes it gets a bit fiddly with these walking motions when you do attach a camera. I'm trying to find a workaround, but sometimes the camera does move a little bit fiddly, as you're going to see now. Always when attaching a camera, remember to go into your properties and attach that to the root bone, the bone root, and that will kind of keep it as stable as possible. But for some reason, as you'll see here, there does seem to be this wobbly kind of playback that you get when you attach the camera that way, which I'm kind of trying to find a workaround and a way to figure out. I haven't done that as of yet, but as you can see here, the motion has been recorded fine. Now, another way to kind of avoid this camera wobble would be to go into your camera settings and you can click record to the camera. So now what you're going to see is any motion we go on to now record will actually be recorded into its own separate camera that it will create up here for you later, and that will be called MD camera. So if we just hit start and we just do some basic walking motion, and we maybe change the camera once and go back and do a little turn, and then maybe change the camera again and maybe do another turn, and maybe change the camera one more time and do a little bit of a turn here and go back to a close-up, and we'll kind of cut it there, and we'll then kind of see now how that kind of records directly into a camera that will then follow really smoothly. So as you can see up here, MD camera, that's recorded into your camera, and you'll just hit that, hit playback, and then that should now follow the motion perfectly. So yeah, guys, very, very effective, very useful plugin, very amazing kind of upgrade for Iclone 8. I think it's really useful, and it's really simple to use, and once you get the hang of it, you know, as you can see here, it's not too fiddly, and you know, it can be very, very effective when constructing your scenes. So I hope that helps. Just to conclude this tutorial, if there's anything you think I missed, or if there's anything you might want to ask, don't hesitate to drop a comment in the box below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. But I hope you liked the tutorial. I hope that really kind of helps you to understand how to use MD controls, and yeah, let's get creative and keep the creative juices flowing, guys. Until the next time, see you soon.